Welcome back to the Pick 199 podcast. I'm here with Muzzy.
Hey,
Hey,
It's episode 50. We made it.
50.
the
Woo.
half century.
Half century.
Yes.
And Mr. 100% himself isn't here.
Yeah. After talking about it all week,
Ugh,
he's not here to reap up the rewards.
what a
I'm going to
shame.
hand over to you, Coxie D. Let's get
Yeah,
started.
I'll host the Premier League because I can't pronounce half the UEFA Champions League's team. So we'll leave that for Muzzy to sort out. And how fitting, boys. We start off with United taking on Everton at Old Trafford. Now, a lot of thoughts on this one for me, fellas. Despite the lineup that Ollie sent out there. And I guess that's to do with the Champions League game we had, middle of the week, just sort of scraping out of that one. But, I thought the lineup wasn't too bad considering the depth that we have and the players we can put in. And when we got that goal before half time, even before that goal, there were a few chances there we should have capitalised on. But I thought they were good signs. And then, obviously when Martial put that finish, I thought, you beauty, here we go. I'm going to message the boys and say we finally scored a goal, before half time.
Martial's back. He's going to retain that opening spot.
And then we all know what happened. But look, I think after hearing about some of the old United heads like Owen Hargraves, hearing him talk about Fred, I honestly think after how Fred had what they call, 2 bites of the cherry where he could have stopped that, counter attack twice.
Oh, yeah.
Could have stopped it twice.
Look, the biggest problem with that, for me, he got out-muscled by Damari Gray.
Yeah.
Damari Gray literally weighs like 40 kilos.
Yeah.
Damari Gray's a speedster.
He's not made to hit people like that. And he took Fred out of that equation straight away.
Yeah. All I'm thinking is, if we had had McTominay there or even Donny van der Beek, who I'm always harping on about to get on, I don't think that goal happens. I think they wouldn't have been out-muscled like Fred was, especially with 2 chances. The fact that he had 2 chances just drives me up the wall. It was 2 chances to stop that. And then just watching it all unfold, and then for Townsend to hit that subpar Ronaldo celebration, I tell you what, I turned it off. I was done. Because that was quite late. What time did he score? What was the minute there?
65th or something.
Oh, it wasn't that late. Yeah. But for me, it was late. I was like, wouldn't have time to, But look, I think the attack we had in the first half was good and we just had to keep doing that. But we need to sort out these corners because I feel like every time we have a corner, I'm holding my breath thinking I'm waiting for this ball to come out and I'm waiting for the opponents to counter-attack us. I'd like to see a stat of how many goals have been scored that we've conceded that have come off our corners poking out the back.
Yeah.
Because I think there's probably a good 50% of them have come from.
That's a really good shout, Cox.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like
honestly.
when you think about it, like when they played Newcastle, it happened so often. Like I think Fred and Slabhead Maguire.
Yeah, Maguire. Yeah.
Got turned inside out like 3 or 4 times.
Because Varane, he
goes
goes up. Yeah, and I mean Maguire does go up too. I guess they choose like one will go up and one will stay, and then Fred being the smaller will often drop back. And Wan-Bissaka usually he'll sort of sit there maybe for a short corner, but he'll still be back a little bit. But just the amount of times and it was against Wolves was where it really sort of stuck out to me. The counter-attack that the Wolves had on us, just a shame they couldn't finish because they should have won that game. But in all honesty though, like we only just lost the week before against Aston Villa at Old Trafford. So I'm thinking, why is he sending out? Like, I didn't really have a problem with it, but the fact that we only sort of got out a draw, I think if we won that game, no one would have anything to say about the lineup.
Yeah.
The fact that we only drew, people go back to that lineup. But
against an understrength Everton team with Richarlison and Calvin Lewin still out.
And maybe that's why Ollie decided to go for a weaker squad, just to give those other fellas a rest. Like, you don't want to be playing Ronaldo for 90 minutes, 3 games in a week kind of thing. And to be fair, like, at the start of the game, I'm sure 90% of United fans would have said that's a good lineup. We should be able to win with that lineup. And the fact that we couldn't seal the deal, we just, when it wasn't our attack this time, I think it was just that we let that goal in. It was just our defence, just being so susceptible to a counter attack.
I think the other thing is too for Fred, he doesn't jockey a player very often. He
goes right in.
Get the tackle, and that's when he gets burnt on the outside.
And what got me as well was the refereeing. He gave Mason Greenwood a yellow card when Fred, who had been, he did two things pretty close together, and just both were just warnings. And Mason Greenwood, he rarely gives away free kicks and things like that, and he just gives Mason one. I'm like, well, if there's one player you need to be given cards to, it's probably Fred. He's the one, making these tackles, doing these things, doing professional fouls almost to slow them down and whatnot. And I don't know, but I honestly think from that game, and I think Muzzy and I were talking about this early in the week about a potential formation change where they play just the one centre defensive mid, and how they're training. What source was that, Muzzy? Was that Optus Sport or something talking about that?
No, they had a direct source from the United camp talking about possibly going out. The reason I brought it up for me, and I think Coxie sort of agreed with my point. I was talking about, they brought Varane in. Maguire, I know he didn't play, but he's been brought in. They've got good defenders, so I don't think they need to necessarily play two centre defensive mids to cover up. Yeah. And I think it'll be a lot more fluid if they have a sole centre defensive mid. And Coxie and I went through I don't know how many examples we ended up with, 10 or so of top quality, from Chelsea, for example, Kante doing it on his own. Real Madrid had Casemiro, Manchester City, Rodri. The list just goes on. All the top teams you can name it. Yeah, Liverpool have Fabinho. But Manchester United haven't had that under Ollie yet, a player to take that role yet. It's just been thrown up and down, and I think McTominay can do it, but he's really on a time limit now because, a couple of years ago we could have said he's fairly young, but he's starting to creep up there for a player that hasn't yet established himself in the team. Yeah.
Imagine if we had a younger centre defensive midfielder that was somehow in the squad somewhere. I think his name's Donny. That might be Donny. Scroll down, Roscoe. You might be able to see him.
Donny's just the team.
Oh, there he is. There he is, Van der Beek.
He's the mascot.
Oh, but look, I think that would. I really like that idea, Muzzy. And McTominay to do it. McTominay's big and strong enough, and I think it gives creativity.
Would that be a 4-1-3-2?
Well, the thing is, you could do a whole heap of things with it. So you could go to a 4-3-3 where you have one centre defensive mid and then two centre attacking mids or two centre mids, and it gives you a lot more options going forward. Because right now it's really tough unless they play Ronaldo. This is my thoughts. I think if they only play Ronaldo up front, you still got a possibility to score. Anyone else, if you play them up top by themselves, it's really hard for them to score because you have to be a certain caliber of player to do that. Like Lewandowski, Ronaldo. There's a handful of players that can do that, and it's really hard when Mason Greenwood and whether it's Martial, whether it's Pogba, whoever is out on the other wing, Sancho, are having to track back heaps and then come back really far to try and support that player that's up front by themselves.
But no, I think it's a really good idea for United moving forward. But I think we've got I've just had a look at the United's next 10 fixtures in the Premier League, and they are tough.
Yeah,
we're playing some tough teams, and with United fans, because we're so demanding of instant kind of success, especially with the squad we've got. I don't think it's going to give us instant success doing that formation, but I still think it's going to be better than what we're doing at the moment, which just seems to be content getting 1-0 or 2-1 wins. You know,
I think for the future that might be. I think it'll be better because you're setting yourself up a little bit better. And you're in the process, you're creating a player that's either going to be world class or he's not going to be good enough to make the team.
Yeah, he's either going to make it or he's not.
That's right.
Kind of thing, yeah.
At the moment, it's all up in limbo as who's playing where.
Yeah, absolutely. But I suppose, you know, on the other side of coin, that's pretty phenomenal for Everton to come away with a draw there.
Yeah.
Against you know, pretty strong United side. So, you know, credit to them. Credit to the boys.
Credit to the boys.
Yes. Oh, all right. Next game, boys. Burnley and Norwich, 0-0. Anyone watch that one?
Nothing like a 0-0 draw between relegation nation teams.
Yeah.
Pure class. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
absolutely. But I'll tell you what, Chelsea 3-1, Southampton. Obviously, you got up for this one, Roscoe.
Oh,
you're a bit worried about at the start, Roscoe?
Oh, I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, scored in the 9th minute, and I was like, yeah, we're good here. But I don't know, like, there was something missing again. And I think, I'm not sure if I talked to you boys about it, but I think if it was any other team, like in that sort of top 4, I think it would have been a lot closer. I think we probably could have been stuck with a draw or a loss based on that sort of between 9 and the 61st minute. Like, there wasn't much happening for us. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, I think Southampton were pretty unlucky not to come away with the spoils. That red card really changed the game. I think if they don't get that red card, I think it's a very close game. I think 3-1 sort of doesn't represent how close it was. Chelsea did awesome to make use of that extra man. You don't often see it where a team makes use of that extra man. Chelsea, if you want to show a young team going up how to make use of an extra man, you watch this game. Because from that red card, all of a sudden Chelsea went, yep, we've got the upper hand, we're going to make use of it. Scored those 2 quick goals and then just set up shop and they're like, yeah, game's over.
Which is kind of interesting considering it was like a forward that got sent off too. It wasn't a defender, it was a forward. And the fact that like Southampton didn't park the bus after that to sort of stop Chelsea, like we kept using the wing side. Like Chilwell had an absolute shocker of a game, and then ended up scoring to sort of rectify that. But it was off the back of a pen for him, like making a stupid tackle in the box.
Yeah.
But if I can just touch on that, Rick, I don't think it was a red card. The initial thought of a yellow card straight up, I was fine with.
Yeah.
Especially for Southampton though too. James Ward-Prowse is an absolute weapon.
Yeah. And knowing like about the player, he's not a dirty player.
Yeah,
he doesn't get many yellow cards. Doesn't get it. He's their captain.
Yeah.
Knowing that his intent wasn't there.
Yeah.
Look,
it was just a lazy tackle.
Yeah, it was a lazy tackle. Look, his boots were up. I understand. I understand it was a red card. Like I understand from that perspective. I do understand though that Southampton fans probably feel a little bit hard done by.
Yeah.
Because it was, you know, he had sort of, he'd gone in and then it slipped up after he'd hit the ground. Like it was really, it was a toss up. It was definitely a yellow because he had the studs up.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't think it was a wrong call. I think the refs made a call on what they had to. And based on how the rules are, which I think need to be amended in those sorts of situations.
How did you feel about VAR, like interrupting that sort of, or stop reversing that decision to make it a red card? Like stopping the flow of play, like after you've already been given a yellow and not just moving on from that.
Yeah. Look, I think we can't, so it's very different watching a game from home and being there and, for example, being the ref. And I think it's the same thing as someone that's in the VAR box and someone that's on the field. And for discretionary calls like that, only because for me, I feel like that rule needs to be amended a little bit. It's different if you're going into a challenge with foot up.
Yeah.
That's 100% different because 90% of injuries occur because of that.
Yeah.
And that's we definitely want to cut that out of the game. But if you're going into a challenge, he's going into a challenge where he's looking at the ball, he's going in, he's hit the ground, it's come back up. There needs to be a little bit of a grey area, I think, there.
Yeah.
But
especially when they're trying to pressure defensively, up until that point, the defensive pressure of the forwards on the back line of Chelsea was really doing Southampton wonders. And there's a few close calls when we passed the ball back to Mendy, and I was dead set. I was just waiting for him to slip and be an own goal.
That pressure was really good from Southampton. At the end of the day,
boys. I just want to go back to VAR. I just want to say something. I think in some of those areas, as we call them, as grey areas, where that really, those grey areas essentially come down to whoever's refereeing the game,
subjective decisions.
And then I think in a situation like this, where it is a little bit of a grey area, you've got the VAR ref who's sitting there and saying, "Oh, well, in my opinion, that's a red," and they stop the game for the VAR check, which then if that ref doesn't then give out or change his decision, then it just looks stupid.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Where it's such a grey area,
it puts way too much pressure on the centre referee. Because if the centre referee looks at the screen and then says, "No, that's not a red card," they're going to get roasted more than if they were to come out and say, "Yes, it is a red card."
Yes, it is a red.
Because then it's it wasn't their decision. The VAR said so.
So I think VAR should only really come into play when it's black and white. They've obviously missed something, instead of this grey area where it's if there was a different guy in the VAR box, maybe they don't go back to it.
Let it go.
I don't like the refs going and watching because I feel like it puts too much pressure on them. I feel like that stoppage for them to go and watch it and then come out, because soccer is such a flowing game. For them to stop and then go watch it, all of the pressure is on the ref then.
And those screens are right there. You've got all the fans behind it.
And
they're trying to watch it. All the fans, screaming.
It's going to end up with that decision of a red card sort of thing, because of all that pressure. Because then they're being told to go have a look, make a second decision.
Look, at the end of the day, James Ward-Prowse made a silly decision. He shouldn't have gone in for that tackle. I understand they were trying to pressure hard. They wanted that win desperately, and they were trying to pressure hard. He just took the discipline out a little bit too much instead of trying to put a pressure on, trying to make a foul. It's fine to do that, but he's just gone about the wrong way.
In saying that,
he needs to come back a lot better in 2 weeks' time.
Well, I think the other thing is too, we've seen in the past few weeks, and even in this round of EPL games, there was a lot worse tackles that only got yellow cards too. So
we'll get to the City Liverpool game.
All discretion, boys. All discretion of the referee.
I can see Muzzy's ears steaming for me.
If only when you were a Liverpool fan. Anyway, moving on. Leeds got the Bickies over Watford 1-0 at home.
Leeds finally get a win.
Yes.
How long will we be waiting for?
Lucky though too. They got lucky to get away with this too. Geez, Leeds just. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. They look so good. So good. So entertaining.
And they started off strong last year too, compared to what they've done so far.
Well, you'd also think that when players have played Euros in their in between seasons, and players like Calvin Phillips who have just looked insanely good. And then not carrying that into club level, it's sort of interesting. So.
Well, even Bamford's got the call up. He's got the call up for this international break. They've got a lot of quality players. I don't know.
Leeds are sitting 16th, so I mean that's a bit of a disappointment so far. That's a bit of a nightmare almost, I think, for Leeds. But
they've had a few tough games early on though too.
Yeah,
they had Manchester United and. Did they have Liverpool as well? I can't remember.
They played Liverpool.
Yeah. Alrighty, over to Wolves 2-1 over the newly taken over Newcastle.
I think they found their striker, boys.
Hee-chan,
mate. got a double and played
Finally, someone.
awesome. He was like this close to scoring a hat trick too.
Yeah, right.
I think
And
all
Raul
those
Jimenez
counter-attacking
assists.
football that they've got, and they've finally got someone that can shoot a goal.
He played awesome. I think it's his first game
Now
this season.
Is he a winger more than a striker?
No, they like to play him and Jimenez next to each other.
Okay.
To sort of feed off each other. I think he can play winger though, because he's quite quick.
He's got a bit of pace though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty quick. The thing is, he's really strong on the ball.
Yeah.
So I think they prefer to play him in a more forward role.
Okay. Yeah.
But he played. I think he played a bit of wing, and then like they would switch in between because Trincao had a go at forward as well. They were just like sort of switching.
Scroll down a bit for me, Roscoe. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
because I think like Traore, like he's obviously got that blistering pace on him.
Yeah,
pace and physical,
but sometimes I think he doesn't really do much for them up top.
No.
And
he's a real conundrum because he's works so hard. A lot of pace, like you said, a lot of strength.
Physical,
got heaps of physical ability for the game. It just feels like there's something off with him. Like, I don't know if he's in the wrong position. Like maybe he should be playing left or right back, maybe.
Yeah.
Like a right wing back or something.
Like a right wing back or a left wing back where you can have him using that pace down the wing.
Might
work a little bit better than him. Yeah. The thing is, his crossing seems okay. His passing seems okay. Like nothing really stands out in terms of.
I think that's the thing though. Like we saw when they played Manchester United, like the amount of counterattacks that they had, and Traore running down the wing, but can't finish off with a shot, or that last pass just doesn't go quite the way it should be.
A lot of his finishes, though, I think, like I think it was last week maybe, where he had a bullet at the goal, but it was actually deflected. And I think that's why it was so close.
Yeah,
it hit the crossbar. But most of the time, all his shots are always sailing over the crossbar, and they're going wide, and it's just like for such an exciting counter-attack that the Wolves have, and then for him to put the finish on it that he does, it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah. So I like that front three from them though. That front three looks really good.
Well, obviously Jimenez is playing a bit of a creative role there too, with 2 assists.
Yeah. He was dropping back. He was dropping back a lot. So he'd come back into the midfield and then
like a centre forward.
Yeah, so he'd supply a lot more through there. Yeah. Trincao was awesome again. I can't stop raving about this kid. I think he's going to be really, really good.
Is he the same bloke they got from FC Porto
last year? No, so last year that was Fabio Silva.
That's right. What's happened to him?
He's on the bench. He hasn't really got any game time. It's really tough. He's a forward as well. I think they should run him at the midfield though. I think he'd be a good midfielder.
Yeah.
Because he's really technical on the ball. But Trincao, you can run him through the midfield. You can run him up front. There's really any position that you can run it. He's started the season really well, and I think He-Chan might be the answer to their problem.
I think the other thing for He-Chan too, like he's got that pace, but he's also like compared to Traore, he's got that finesse about him that he can sort of weave in and out, but also finish.
I think he's a lot more technical on the ball than Traore is. He might not necessarily have the same strength. Like he's pretty strong. Like I said, for a guy that majority plays winger, I think he can hold the own in his striker. But I like that formation. But I'd like it more if they went to 2 forwards, had Jimenez and He-Chan up front, and I'd like to see Trincao in a Bruno Fernandes role. So at that
sitting behind them,
sitting in behind, just supplying the ball, and then when he needs to make a run, just blistering past him because he can do it.
Yeah,
and I think that would be a lot better if they ran it like that, because I think they'd create a lot more chances through that.
Yeah, I mean, after this performance, it'd be hard to think that they would drop Chan.
Oh no, I don't think so.
For somebody else, especially the way 2 goals. I mean, there's no coincidence you getting 2 goals. Like
and he played awesome as well. Like I said, he should almost had a third and probably an assist. Like he played by far the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, nice. Alrighty. Well, moving on, fellas. Brighton Hove Albion 0-0 with Arsenal.
Unlucky to Brighton.
Yeah, man, they were unlucky.
They could have quite easily just one goal is all they needed.
And I don't know about you boys. I can't believe how well Brighton is sort of playing at the minute too. Like, we had
considering where we had
the form that Arsenal had running into this game is probably the best form they've had in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
And to be stopped by Brighton.
Just
you
put
think
them down.
like in the week prior to that, they were like, "Oh, Aubameyang's back. We're gonna score 1 million goals," sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then it was back to sort of same old Arsenal that we saw 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, good on them. I think Brighton are they're 6th at the moment. Arsenal are 11th. So I mean, that's yeah. There we go.
Brighton doing better than anyone. I think we had them in relegation zone almost, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I think we might have.
It was either that or the one above it.
Yeah, it might have been Suffolk City.
So I think they're definitely defying a lot of expectations. A lot of people are really surprised by their performances, and for good reason.
But it's going to be a thing of how long can it last before things go wrong.
Yeah, hopefully they can.
But this could be one of those things where we're asking that at match week 36. Yeah. How long can this keep going on, boys? And they're sitting 5th or 6th having European football next year. But anyway, don't go too ahead of ourselves.
No.
Moving on.
Yeah, could be the same situation as West Ham last year. We said, when's it going to end? And they were right on the brink.
Yeah. All right, over to Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 2-2 draw with Leicester City.
Good. I think that's a good result for Crystal Palace, and then another disappointment for Leicester City.
Yeah.
They're still not finding the back of winning games that they should be winning.
Yeah. Just that consistent form back-to-back games. They can't seem to string wings together.
Especially when you're 2-0 up.
Yeah.
You're 2-0 up and you let a team back in to score 2.
Oh, you'd have to be filthy, wouldn't you? I mean, I think for Crystal, that in their minds, that's a win coming from 2-0 down.
Yeah. Can I say, I think at the end of the season, early prediction, early saying, Vieira needs, not going to say he's going to be manager of the season, but he definitely deserves some praise, because the only reason that team turned around in that second half, I can guarantee you he would have been a great team talk at halftime. And it's so good to see a manager that's so calm on the field. You just do not see it. He's just always a constant professional, always calm, always tries to keep his players in line, but never overbearing on his players. Like all the managers from our clubs, they're all super overbearing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, when you see like Tuchel and Pep go off or flop.
Since you mentioned it, like I noticed in the in obviously the United game against Everton, like the managers that get on there, like, and Rafa Benitez, I think he's pretty big for this, but like he was doing in this game, but he's like setting up his players for a throw-in, kind of like he's ordering his players where to go. Like, I think that's just too much. If you're ordering your players where to be in a throw-in, they're professionals.
Yeah.
They should know where they've got to be for throw-ins, corners, everything like that. It's crazy. You see them on the sideline, and I think they're out of their technical area.
Vieira being so close to this generation, I think it's helping Crystal Palace, because he knows what professionals are and what sort of people he's expecting at the club at that level. Because like between Rafa Benitez's time from being a player to a coach, like the differences between the professionalism is ridiculous, and that's just based off salary.
Yeah. Well, when you also think about it, like that Crystal Palace side is quite young, so they would have been watching Vieira when they were growing up.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Yeah. All right, very good. Moving on, Tottenham at home to Aston Villa 2-1. Got the win, boys, but it was through a bit of help, obviously, from Aston Villa.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
look, Son, just it's his team. Yeah. Like I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how desperately City are trying to chase Harry Kane. I really don't want him.
Hey, Fuzzy, do you think there's going to be as much interest in Harry Kane?
Oh, definitely not. I think if there is, the managers are just, well, not the managers, the owners are just idiots. Yeah. If there is that much interest, because Son in this game pretty much epitomises everything that we said last season. Everything that we said about Tottenham is it's his team. And yet they continue to rave on about how it's Harry Kane's team. He was a no-show in this game.
Well, to channel my inner Snake-O Mitchell, he's overrated.
But you think like he's got to have some kind of skill to have because he's had some good seasons last year and the year before.
I won't go as far as Snake-O because I don't think he's overrated. I think prices vary depending on your form. His form was great last season.
Yeah,
I'm not saying his form wasn't. What I'm saying is he's had a couple of seasons of great form. The only difference is he's going to have a drop off and he'll have a drop year and then maybe he'll bounce back when it's a contract year. And then after that, he might bounce back, in 2 years' time when it's a contract year again. But it's really hard to get him consistently running through that form.
Yeah.
While Son will do it for you, I think, every year.
Year in, year out, yeah.
And I think he's one of those players that's in that group with Salah, Mane, Sancho, some of those great wingers, not necessarily Sancho because he hasn't been playing lately, but when he's playing, like Sterling, Grealish, whoever, he's in that same realm of wingers.
In that upper echelon.
Yeah, that they can do it night in, night out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You know what you're getting from him every week, and you know he'll give it to you every week for years. And I think that's what sets him apart from Harry Kane. And that's why I think he is better than Harry Kane.
Yeah. Do you think
more
he
important to that Tottenham side?
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of this could be reflective of him wanting to leave at the start of the Prem season?
I don't think so.
Yes and no, but
I think it does. I think he wanted to go.
You have to think about it though too. Like Kane's been dropping back into the mid, even close to the defensive line, like tracking back, rather than pushing forward, pushing through, like he usually does. And that's when he's been scoring goals, but he hasn't been doing it. So I don't know. There's things wrong there with Harry Kane at the minute, but
yeah, I think it's just I think he'll catch form. He will catch form and he'll score goals by the end of the year. Like he'll be in the running again.
But he'll still end up on like 20 odd goals by the end of the year.
Yeah. I don't think he'll have the season he had last year or the season before, but I think he'll be up there. He'll be up there in the goal scorers as usual. They'll get a good price for him. They'll just be spewing that they didn't sell him at the start of this year.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't drop their asking price to a more reasonable price.
Because the issue you have is Mbappe and Haaland go on the market next transfer market.
I mean, you think Mbappe is pretty much sealed to go to Real Madrid too.
Yeah. But the thing is, because it's a verbal contract and nothing's gone through yet, teams are going to be sniping for him.
Yeah.
So I don't see how they plan to get more from him unless they end up just keeping him there. I mean, he's getting up there in the age.
In saying that though, too, I can't see like Tottenham forking out the money for someone like Mbappe or Haaland though too.
No, they won't. But what I mean is, his value is going to drop dramatically because those guys are
because they've got that kind of talent on the market.
Yeah, because we've got so much talent, and I think a lot of talent's going to be coming up in the transfer market. I think Sterling from City is probably going to be up. A lot of forward-based players will be up.
I think Pogba might be up too, unless we get a contract deal sorted. But,
I don't see him fetching a higher price than what we got. I think it's going to be a Jadon Sancho situation where Dortmund lost
100 mil.
Oh, yeah, they lost a lot
of money on him.
Because it went from like 150. Did he get sold for 100 in the end? Or 50?
It was less than 100 mil. I think we got
80.
80? Yeah, about 80. It was a lot. It was a lot cheaper than.
It was like, I think it was 50, 60 mil less or something.
Yeah, for waiting a year.
Yeah, so
crazy.
I think
you could definitely see Kane going for like 50, 60 less than what they asked for too.
Yeah, well, they had him going at like 150 or something.
Yeah, well, that's what they wanted to sell him for. And
yeah.
I think
they weren't willing
like
to
he's
sell.
not worth that much.
Yeah, so look, if I was a manager, I wouldn't be paying over 70 for him next year.
Yeah,
or
no.
next transfer market.
I still think you'll have teams keen to get him, mainly because he's an English striker. And, with the Champions League, they've got that rule where you've got to have, 50% of your players or more. Some kind of rule where they've got to be, from the home country of the team. So, I think just for that fact, he holds a lot more value. Than someone like Son,
Yeah.
Even though Son's probably the better player.
Yeah.
And the heart and soul of the Tottenham side, but anyway.
Unlucky for Aston Villa. They look like in decent form. I thought they were going to pull this out.
2 goals and still
played
didn't
quite
get
well.
the win.
Yeah.
Poor buggers.
Yeah.
All right, moving on over to West Ham at home to the Bees, who outdone them 2-1. That's a bit of
we had the Bees as giant slayers this year, didn't we? We called this.
Did we have?
Yeah, but we also called West Ham as a top 4 team though as well.
Yeah, but at least we got 50%, right?
We had Brentford just above relegation nation. I don't think we had them.
No, I thought we had them in the tier above because we said they were going to be a lot better than a lot of the other teams.
Yeah, we did.
We did say that. I don't know if we ended up moving them at the end. But
yeah,
we did say we said that they were going to be we said they were going to be the best team coming up in a long time. So they're looking good. They're looking the goods.
Yeah, 2-1 win at the Hammers. Considering how good West Ham have been, I think that's an awesome win for Brentford. I wouldn't. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, West Ham have been struggling a little bit though too. Like they've had a couple of losses where they should have won, or at least. So, they're sort of they're in a lull at the minute, I think, and the next few games are going to be indicative of where they're going to end up too. So
crucial, very crucial. All right, in the last game, the cracker, the highlight: Liverpool at home to City, 2 apiece. Muzzy, the floor is yours.
I was about to say, Muzzy, go off, please, because I watched this game. This is absolute farce, this one.
I'll start with a positive. Phil Foden looked like maybe the best player on the field. Between him and Salah, he really went into his own.
Destroyed Milner.
Milner had no chance on that right back role. He was like the amount of times when he went past him and Milner was just looking for where he was, couldn't find him. It just really showed why Pep loves him so much. Phil, I was really impressed with him, and it was so good to see him, De Bruyne, Jesus obviously out on the wing. I enjoyed seeing that. I always love seeing him on the wing. I think he's just so much better on the wing. And Jack Grealish, like they all just seem to put it together well. Liverpool played awesome.
They seem to, like, between De Bruyne, Grealish, and sometimes Jesus, like playing that false 9, but you still had Foden out on the wing and Jesus as well. Raheem didn't play too bad either when he came off the bench.
When he came on, he played well. Look, like we said at the start of the season, City's got a ton of wingers. And, Phil Foden can... The best part about Phil is he can play anywhere. And he went from, playing centre midweek to playing on the wing this week. It was,
And he didn't struggle at all.
He looks so in his zone. You're talking about a team full of, World Cup experienced players, Euro League experienced players, Nations League experienced players, and you got a youngster that just comes in and just fills the role just perfectly wherever he goes. I was super happy with him.
It was like left foot and like just sliced it.
Yeah.
To the right hand side. Bottom. Really nice.
So, no, it was good. Kevin De Bruyne was so good to see him back out on the pitch, playing well. He had the first couple of games off at the start of the Premier League. He's just so good. He's so good. You can just notice when he's not there. They're just like a gaping hole in the midfield.
And to think Chelsea thought he was a flop. Unbelievable.
Mate, I'd said at the time, I said we should keep him, and I said that same thing for Salah as well. And look at him now.
No, you didn't.
I did.
You could have been the first one telling him to get out of there.
No,
We've already seen how you've turned on Timo Werner.
Hey?
We've already seen how you've turned on Timo Werner.
You're talking about, mate. He's a club legend now. He scored a goal finally.
Yeah. I actually that a week ago.
Yeah, look, I will just say, I think James Milner deserved a red card. I personally was not. He definitely deserved a second yellow. I don't think it wasn't a straight red.
No.
But
it was definitely
I understand at the same time why he didn't give it. Bernardo Silva had a decent game. I'm still iffy about him in the midfield. I'm not a big fan of it, especially when I feel like we've got a lot better players that can play in the midfield.
That's the thing. Like for Bernardo Silva in this game, like he had a really nice touch where he cut through like 5 of the Liverpool players.
Yeah.
Turned Virgil van Dijk inside out.
Yeah.
But then there was a couple of wayward passes though too that are in his game that he just can't seem to get rid of.
Yeah, and I hate it because like people will say, "Oh, how can you hate on him? Did you see what he did to the Liverpool defence?" And I said, "Yeah, but did you see the play before that where where he gives away the ball? Like you can't have both. The thing is, in the Premier League, you need both. You need a player that can hold the ball and a player that can cut through it.
You can't have a player that has flair for 20% of the time and gives the ball away 80% of the time.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm really not sold on him in the midfield. I know people rave about him in the midfield, like he's doing awesome. I see the midfield as still a traditional role, and I think Pep does as well. And I think he's sort of, you probably will see Bernardo playing less and less unless he can sew up the wayward passes. And his defense is not that solid either. So he really only gives you a bit of spark going forward. At the same time, sometimes you just need that. And I think he could definitely do that off the bench easy.
I think the thing for Bernardo too, like you said, like he tends to do what Fred does, like jumps in on a player rather than jockeying him through the midfield to create a mistake rather than just getting the ball back straight away, sort of thing. Like,
which we don't need because we've got Rodri and Rodri's there to clean up. So he should just be jockeying until Rodri gets the ball. Like it's not hard. Like that's simple soccer. But yeah, I just think that's where it needs to head and where it needs to change. Like I said, I think the red, if it goes to a second yellow, it's a red card, gets sent off, changes the complexion of the game. Not super upset with the result. I think we could have pulled out a win. We let 2 easy slip-ups. The Salah goal, no one's stopping that. I mean, he's just going to score that.
He's a freak.
Like he's going to rip your defence apart. We needed to do better to shut down the space.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you'd have to still be confident. Like the next time City faces Liverpool, of obviously taking the spoils for the next one. You think?
Yeah, I hope so because by then, Liverpool will have a couple of injuries. We'll have a couple of injuries. Our depth's a little bit better. I think that will definitely play a part. I think in the next time we play. But yeah, I think I was really happy with the form. Like I said, Salah really couldn't do much again, like for his goal, but we just needed to shut down early. Like we did it against Haaland. I don't sort of understand why we couldn't do it against Salah. Where we did it against Haaland in the Champions League last year, where we just just nullified him basically. Didn't give him a chance to do that, and so yeah. Look, there's quite a few things, but yeah, Rodri saved a certain goal from Fabinho. I think I read the measurement stats or something, and he dove 2.9 meters or something to stop the ball.
I can't believe he stopped that goal.
Unbelievable where he got to that.
As a player, you'd be dreaming of having a shot that close and wide open too.
Yeah.
I can't believe that he got across.
Unbelievable.
Are you a little disappointed in a way too much the amount of chances that you had in that first half? Like, that you didn't have at least one more goal?
Liverpool had one attempt in the first half,
Mm.
and I was super happy with that, super impressed.
Mm.
We needed to put more away, though, and I hate to say it, but it was Foden created most of those chances, but he also should have finished most of those chances.
Finished them, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that stuff comes with experience, and he just needs more experience on the pitch. It's going to be growing pains. There's always going to be growing pains, especially with young players. But we really needed to consolidate at least a goal because we had something like 17 chances or something.
Yeah.
And Liverpool had
And that's
one.
sort of, like you guys completely dominated that first half. Like Matip came in through the midfield a couple of times, but once he did that, it opened up the wings for you guys as well. So, but I mean, we still haven't seen Foden's roof yet, though, either. Like he's still growing as a player. He's like 22 or something, isn't he? Like he's still fairly young.
Oh, he's fairly young. I'm not sure how old he is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So all in all, like I said, happy, but could be a lot bit happier.
Well, considering the amount of chances that you would have had in the first half.
Yeah.
Like, but it is what it is. But I can definitely say pretty much with confidence that the top three teams are pretty far out at like the best three teams in the comp. Manchester United aren't too far off, but I think it's just like fiddling with their formation a bit for them to get comfortable, and they might have a late surge.
Yeah, just the last couple of games, I think we can sort of put the line through them as, as in the top four kind of thing.
Yeah.
To be honest, like if you're expecting to win the Prem, you can't have those kind of games like we have, where you're losing Aston Villa 1-0 at home and you've just got no answers for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So but we've got work to do. I think they might have a bit of a surge, but it's hard to see where where their priorities are, if it's the Prem or if it's the Champions League. But time will tell. And speaking of Champions League, Muzzy, let's go across, mate. Let's whip across to the Champions League.
Did we talk about? Oh yeah, we did. That was all of them, yeah.
That was it.
Awesome. Yep. Brilliant.
Done and dusted.
Awesome. All right. So Champions League. So we had a bit of group stage action. Obviously, we haven't spoken about it. Did happen over a week ago now, but we had some group stage action. We'll start with the Juventus Chelsea game. Roscoe, a bit unlucky.
Tough one to watch.
Chianese, another striker that goes out into the market and the transfer market. Like I said, just depreciating Harry Kane's value. He's been awesome for Italy. And looks really good. He has really been Juventus' saviour with Ronaldo leaving. So, no, he looked really good.
And anytime you can shut down like players like Lukaku as well, that you're always going to have a good advantage over the other team in terms of goal scoring.
Very good. We had Salzburg get up over Lille. Good win for Salzburg. Lille still sort of struggling a little bit in the Champions League. They still look good in the French league. Obviously, they had an awesome season last season. But yeah, I mean, it's early growing pains for them. I think that they haven't had, particularly that squad hasn't had a lot of Champions League experience.
Yeah.
And you really need that in Champions League.
Yeah. It's such a different game, Champions League compared 100%. To domestic league. Yeah. And you see it even with the big teams too, I think, where they sort of have some of those growing pains sometimes, just readjusting back in the European.
Yeah. And it's even with just travel alone is big on a lot of these players, because a lot of these players have never had to play outside of the country.
Yeah.
Particularly like, for example, Lille, where you don't have a lot of internationals. You still do have some, but traveling away with your international team is obviously very different to traveling away with your club team.
Yeah.
These guys are paying your salary, so it's a very different game to represent your country. Very slow start for them, but I think they will turn it on. I think that they could turn it on in that Group G. And I think they might turn it around towards the end. It's a fairly weak group, so I think they might get back in the end.
Yeah.
We had Wolfsburg and Seville 1-1. Not much in that game. Both teams sort of at the similar level. bit more of a better result for Wolfsburg. They're finally getting back in the Champions League. It's been a long time. I think the last time that they were super competitive in Champions League, they had
Dzeko, didn't they?
Yeah, they had Dzeko and Deontay up front. And they had Diego in the midfield.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a really, really solid team. So it's good to see them back up. They had a really, really good. Well, that squad won the Bundesliga against the Bayern team that had Ribery, Robin, had full stack. Full stack, and I think they still had Closer up front. I think. Or is another?
I think it would have been. Maybe Lewandowski was a year or two off, I think, at that point.
Yeah, he's still at Dortmund. I think they might have had. He's quite young. There was another tall German striker. He'll come to me anyway.
Gomez.
Gomez, that's
Gomez.
The one. Yeah, Mario Gomez. So he was the talisman. He had a crack a couple of seasons. They were able to come up. So it's good to see Wolfsburg back in contention. I think if they can make it out of that group, it will be a massive step up for them. Like I said, quite a weak group in Group G. But interesting stuff. Coxie United get a good win.
Hey, we got a win, boys. We're on the board. We got some points.
You finally got the stick over Villarreal.
You know, it's funny. Like sort of looking at the group we had. I would have said you've had to have asked me. Who would we lose to? It would have been probably to Villarreal. We always seem to struggle against the Spanish teams.
Spanish Farmers League teams.
But, I know that Ronaldo he pulled us out at the end there.
Ronaldo just doing Ronaldo things, man.
Yeah, that's it. And I think we just needed a win after that poor performance against Young Boys. So at the moment I'm just sitting back and watching Ollie see what he does and see what we can do. But you know what? After that Young Boys, I was thinking for a while there, are we going to even make it out of the group stage from that performance? But look, I'm glad we did get the win. You can't knock a win, even if it is 2-1. So we'll take that and we'll move on.
Yep. Very good. Benfica beat lonely Barcelona.
Barcelona are in some strife, aren't they, boys?
They're struggling.
They're in some big trouble.
They lost as well over the weekend and registered, I think for the first time ever, didn't register a shot on target, I think.
Yeah, it's insane.
Some record like that. Maybe not the first time ever, but long time before they've done that before. And it was against Espanyol, I believe, who were struggling in the league. Yeah, Barcelona's they're in a world of hurt. Rumours coming out that they want to buy Sterling. I don't know with what money. I don't know how they're making back their money. Apparently, an investor has approached the club and said that they're willing to pay off the debt.
That's a huge debt. That's a huge debt.
Yeah, but I think for this investor, it's like nothing. So he just wants to see the club go up. But I don't know if, at the end of the day, is UEFA going to accept it? Roscoe and I are actually talking about how strict they can actually be in terms of purchasing clubs and payments and stuff like that. Obviously not when we're doing shady dealings with themselves. But anyway, no, look, they're in a world of hurt. They need something to lift them out. Messi's obviously left them a massive hole, but I think their problems were way before Messi left. And
I think the writing's on the wall for Koeman too. The players just seem just disinterested when he's talking to them, and I think he's fractured that playing group a fair bit too.
It's honestly just like the departure of Messi is just he's it's almost like he's just pulled the curtain.
He's like the final brick. Yeah, he's the final brick for the dominoes to fall.
The straw that break the donkey's back. It's a world of hurt for Barcelona there. I don't know the way out. For me, if I was that, the first thing you got to do is you got to sort up your finances. You got to find some way of dealing with the thing. I don't think the biggest thing you can do now is look for Sterling and look for other high-end players. Apparently, they didn't find out how bad their debt was until they bought Coutinho. No, Griezmann. Sorry,
Oh,
they bought Griezmann. So once they bought Griezmann, they sort of worked out how bad it was. Look, they got to do something to sort it up, and I think you can put curtains over it as much as you want. But if I'm Barcelona, I'm going after a high quality manager to just try and stay within Champions League spots. I'm not looking to win anything, probably not for a couple of years, but just stay competitive, to be honest.
Try and make it a reload instead of a rebuild.
Yeah. Like it's basically the equivalent for these guys. It's basically the equivalent of tanking, which is just aiming for a Champions League spot.
They might have been playing the Barca B team in the league below. We don't know.
So not Gary Neville then, boys?
No. No, look, I'm looking for a high quality manager, someone. I would even be saying even someone like Frank Lampard would be a good shout. Pep, obviously, if you can get him out of City. Thomas Tuchel, same thing. Jurgen Klopp, if you can get him out of Liverpool. Any of those top managers.
It's going to be tough to pull those sort of managers out when they're in
100%.
They're in a very strong position at their own clubs.
And that's you got to find some way, which I think is why Pep's sort of the top runner, because he has such an affiliation playing for Barcelona in his playing days, for so many years. Won the Champions Leagues, won numerous of the leagues with them. And then obviously going on to being, that was really his first big coaching job. Look, tough times. Good win for Benfica. Look really good. Hopefully they can keep their team together. I hope it's not another Ajax situation where they just get bought out the next year, because they look good, and I think they might be able to make a run in this group to go through with Bayern Munich. But a lot of their players already linked to transfers for 100 million plus. Like it's going to be tough to keep them.
So they're going to get gutted through the middle.
Yeah. Bayern Munich, comfortable win against Dynamo Kiev. They just consummate professionals always. Emerged as front runners now actually to sign Haaland.
Really?
Yeah, we can see that happening. So I think if they get in, I think they'll probably end up keeping Lewandowski, because I don't think Lewandowski wants to leave. He's the club love him there, and the fans love him. I don't think he has a reason to leave. Yeah. And Haaland's got enough pace for them to play them both up front. So I wouldn't be concerned if I'm Bayern Munich. But they've thrown their hat in the running. They want. Yeah, they've sort of made their intentions a bit clear now.
And they always make some smart buys, Munich. Like they're never really tossing their hat in for any old player.
Yeah.
They're always, making smart buys. And I think we've talked about it before. Like, can you think of a Bayern Munich player who's done poorly at the club?
Yeah.
That they've brought in, like
even players
not as a club when they've sold them up, like Schweinsteiger to Man U.
Yeah, but even players that they picked up on loan, like they had Coutinho out on loan for a season. They had James Rodriguez out. James came in and he was like close to being the highest assist rate in the whole league, and then goes back and cannot get a minute of
Madrid.
Game.
Yeah.
Like it's their ability to do business is just unbelievable. Like, and their scouts have got to be some of the best in the world. So hats off to them. I think they're probably my pick for team of the century.
I think that's the thing though too. Like for Bayern Munich is that they buy players that fit their system rather than like individual sort of brilliant sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Lewandowski's a great striker, but he's also a great team player too.
Yeah. And that's why you'll never see him buy the best players in the world, but they'll assemble a team that can beat the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And it's how do you stop that when you got a team full of champions? Like it's, I think they're early favourites to take out the Champions League. I think
they're always a well-oiled German machine.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Zenit, big win against Malmo. Malmo just look out of their depth, obviously. Don't want to point any fingers, but they're a bit out of their depth, but they're trying.
Which is what we sort of expected, really.
Yeah.
For those
New
guys,
team.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Atlanta 1-0 win against Young Boys. Pretty big for Atlanta. Pretty scary for United. I think you guys.
This makes me feel better actually.
Yeah, well, I think you guys play Atlanta next. Is the thing?
Yeah, like the fact that Atalanta didn't just blow Young Boys out makes me feel good about it. That the Young Boys, were a bit more of a match for them.
Yeah.
And I think I'd rather have them win 1-0 as opposed to 4-0 or 5-0.
Yeah.
So
very true.
I just meant like in terms of league standings. If Atalanta get a draw, a draw and a win against United, really put some pressure on United. Because I think he's playing them now twice in a row.
Yeah.
And then we have the reverse leg.
Go back the other way.
Yeah. No. Very good. We're going to go on to Wednesday games. All right.
Yeah, why not?
We'll start with the big one. Real Madrid losing the Sheriff. Unbelievable stuff. Real Madrid. I will give Real Madrid credit. So even though Barcelona is going through this slump, Real Madrid have found a way to still stay competitive, which I think they're doing what I said. So trying to stay competitive, but reloading with young core and keeping their finances up so that they can, for example, when the transfer market opens up, they're always willing to buy the big player.
Yeah. Well, really, they're probably just waiting for Mbappe at the moment, aren't they?
Well, yeah, it seems like a pretty much done deal. But yeah, they're waiting out for him. There was talks about them looking at Haaland as well. They really need to shore up that midfield. Modric is getting older. Cruz is getting older. Casemiro is starting to get up in the age as well. I know, like he's still relatively young, but certain defensive mids, when they lose their physicality and their pace as they get older, oftentimes move to different positions.
They'll be right. They've got Bale back, boys. They'll be right.
So look, like I said, Real Madrid, it's a bump in the road, but I think, as a small team coming up against Real Madrid, you're always going to play that little bit harder. So
and especially beating them at home as well at the Bernabeu.
I think teams that always come up, especially smaller clubs that always come up against Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world, they always play that little bit harder. Yeah. So I think people are sort of overreacting a little bit. Credit to Sheriff. They played awesome, managed to pull out a win. They've started their Champions League campaign terrifically. For a team that technically doesn't have a league, they've been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, shoot, baby.
Yeah. Very good. Moving on, Dortmund get up over Sporting. So Sporting at the moment, top of their league. The Portuguese league. They've had a really good run of form so far. Really started to turn it on against the likes of Porto and other sort of more well-known Portuguese teams. Sporting's doing really well, but yeah, they're just Haaland. Jude Bellingham was just too good in this game. He played awesome. Another English youngster I can guarantee EPL teams will buy, like Coxie said, with Harry Kane, just raises his price because he's English. So
Tottenham to buy him for 200 million.
Raises the stock value.
I don't think Tottenham will spend 200 million on a team, let alone a player. AC Milan lose to Atletico. I tell you what, Atletico are early shouts to win La Liga comfortably. Suarez looked unbelievable. Suarez has looked like he has not missed a beat since Barcelona. He's looked extraordinary. I don't know what to say. He's so good.
He's looking really good.
João Felix. The departure of Sol has really not impacted them at all. Like they've just they're taking control of the La Liga quite easily, I think.
And I
So
think Atletico are another one of those teams that are pretty smart with their transfers as well, because like that, quite often they will be the team that's getting scalped.
yeah,
Like you see it like Fernando Torres and like I can't think of any more, but there's
Diego
more players than
Costa.
that. Yeah, Costa,
actually, funny you say that. I was actually reading an article, Coxie, about since Diego Simeone's been in charge, Atletico Madrid have made more money than what any EPL team has spent in the last since he's been on.
Wow,
that's insane.
Yeah, so he's
crazy.
Like his ability to nurture players, and if I'm a young player, I'm either going there or Dortmund. If I'm an older player or like mid 20s sort of player, I'm going to Let's Go. Like the development you're going to get out of him and the price and everything that he'll get out of you is just unbelievable. And a lot of people say like he's really tough. He's really tough on defense. He's really tough on how people play and stuff. But he gets results.
Did they get Griezmann back pretty cheaply too after Barcelona?
Well, I think that's just the loan. How that's worked. That's just a loan. If Griezmann plays more than 50% of his games, they've got to buy him.
Yeah,
so if he plays 50% of their games,
basically they'll end up buying him for like 50 million, and if that, I think it was like 45, and they sold him for like 120 or something. So they made money. Even if he comes back, they made money off him.
So but I think they're just such like another team like Bayern Munich who are just so smart. But also I don't think Atletico Madrid are another team that buys big players though either.
No, you're right.
How often do you hear these star players coming across?
It's
not
not
a Galacticos era for the Atletico side of Madrid.
So, it's good. Great signs for Let's Go. Great signs for Milan too. They looked really, really good. It's really good to see them back up. They played really well. Just great to see him, competitive again and in the Champions League. Ibrahimovic looks awesome. It's so good seeing him up there. I mean, the guy's almost 40.
Yeah.
He turns 40 this year.
Ages like wine.
In like 2 days or something, he turns 40.
Still fresh from that surgery too.
Oh, yeah. Fresh off the surgery. I mean, what can I say? Like, AC Milan have done really well. Like, there was such a big club for so long, and they've really turned it around, invested in some youth players, haven't really splurged out, got a lot of players for free, and they've turned out some gems. I mean, it's unfortunate they lost Donnarumma. Their current keeper's pretty good, though. His name does escape me. But, so they're pretty good with how they manage their team as well. And, going from a team that would spend big money on the likes of Ronaldinho, Shevchenko, like the list just goes on of the greats that have played for AC Milan, and Maldini, I mean, Dida in goals, like it's just ridiculous. And then to turn that into a younger sort of team on a bit of a budget where they can't afford to necessarily buy those big guys, they're doing really well in the Italian league. The next game, Liverpool got up 5-1 from Porto.
We can skip over this. We don't need to talk about
Liverpool. That's it. Liverpool looked good, played well. Firmino come on, played awesome. Still don't know why Jurgen Klopp's starting Jota.
I meant to ask that in the EPL section. Like, Jota just doesn't seem to. I know he gets frustrated really easily, and just like whereas Firmino plays off Salah and Mane so well.
See, I think he's traditionally a cam, which I think he played cam for Wolves. I don't like him in the striker role or the centre forward role. I think Firmino gives them a lot more. And I think once he gets back into full health, Klopp will probably play him a lot more. It's just tough. What do you do with Jota? He's a player that was basically promised he was going to get a lot of game time at Liverpool. And now they've sort of got nowhere to put him. I think they sort of need to try and reel him back in and put him in the midfield. But they've sort of convinced him that he needs to play up front. It's an odd situation.
He could play in behind like Firmino pretty well though too.
Yeah. I think he could definitely play at a cam role. I think he'd do really well with there. And it's a spot that they're sort of lacking. But at the same time, they want Curtis Jones to fit into that role. It's just the odd situation at the moment. Like they've promised him a lot of time, and then I don't know. It's weird stuff. Next game. RB Leipzig losing to Club Bruges.
I didn't see this one coming.
No. Club Bruges played really, really well. Sort of took control of the game. The Belgium team just looked really good. RB Leipzig just unlucky, really, to not put away a couple and get on top of them. But their defense just wasn't good enough. So next game, PSG 2-0 over Man City. Disappointing.
Messi magic.
Yeah, Messi played awesome. Kevin De Bruyne is sort of first full game back. Looked good. We looked good in the first half. Couldn't put away our chances. Like I said, I didn't like our starting lineup. Really wanted to see Fern and Torres back in there. It's just little things. PSG sort of finding their feet, and I think they really needed this game. It was something to get up for, and I think it was something to get up for Messi as well. And they really seemed to click in this game. So I think this might be the year that they get really competitive in the Champions League. I know they've been competitive, but I think this has got to be basically the year that they get super competitive. Sergio Ramos is getting old. Marquinhos is getting up there. Leo Messi is getting up there, obviously. Mbappe is sort of the only one that's not, but he's I'm in an iron if he wants to get up. Neymar's starting to get up there now too. Verratti's starting to get up there. A lot of their midfield, a lot of their defenders. But at the same time, they got a nice mix with Kimpembe, Mbappe, and the rest of those boys to be competitive. But should be a very interesting Champions League campaign. And can't wait to see the criticism when they struggle a little bit. Disappointing for us.
They were copying that in like their League One or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yes. So moving on, Shakhtar Donetsk 1-0 Inter unlucky. They look really good. Dzeko looks really good up front for them. He's been playing pretty decent for them. They just weren't able to score, weren't able to break down Shakhtar Donetsk. That's what they're going to do against you. They're just going to shut it down. They changed managers. They went from a very attacking style when they had the likes of Tyson and a couple of other really good speedsters for Shakhtar Donetsk. And they've changed to a bit more of a defensive style, so it's really tough to break them down. It happens. But I think into the Italian league starting to look up, and a lot of clubs from the Italian league doing the right things, I think. So we'll see the fruits of that as they go on with Inter and AC Milan. Next game, we had last game, Ajax 2-0 over Besiktas. Ajax played pretty good. Ajax are always going to be strong. They always got a good core of young players. And Besiktas, a bit disappointing for them. Pjanic looked sort of out of sorts. Batshuayi looked a bit off as well. But, they'll be all right. I think they'll string a couple of wins together. I don't know if they'll get out of that group, but they'll do well, I think. So that's our wrap-up of the Champions League.
Good stuff. You jumped us to
Nations League.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Had some cracking results. We'll just go straight to the semi-finals. We won't worry about any of the group games. Like I said, we went through the structure of the Nations League. If you haven't seen that, I think that was our second episode or something like that.
Yeah, it was something early on.
Super confusing.
If you want to hear Muzz go off for a bit,
anyway.
worth a listen.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. But anyway. Spain got up on Italy. Ferran Torres, 2 goals. Italy looked good. Suffered a quick red card. Sort of derailed them a bit. But, I think Ferran Torres just looked the goods in the first half. And Yeah, Chianese was nowhere to be seen really for Italy.
Mm.
But good to see Spain back up there now that they've sort of had a changing of the guard. They went from that, all-time great team with Iniesta, Xavi, Sergio Busquets, like the list goes on. Casillas in goal, Sergio Ramos, PK, like Jordi Alba, like you can just list them off. Pretty much full Real Madrid and Barcelona greats team. From that to a very young team now, sort of trying to make up for it. They played really, really well. Like I said, Ferran Torres played really well. Shout out to Gavi, 17 or 18.
Yeah, quite young. Yeah.
Bossed the park, like against the likes of Jorginho and Verratti in the Italian midfield. Played awesome. Got to give that young guy props. So I think Sergio Busquets and Koke are doing a really good job at just sort of giving him a bit of instructions about how he should be playing that midfield role in the Spanish team, and it's working like awesome. So, no, very good, very young team for the Spanish, but yeah, great win for them, and they move on to the final. And we had an absolute mind-boggling game between Belgium and France. So this is number 1 in the world and number 2. You boys want to take a guess at who's number 1, who's number 2?
Belgium's number 1, aren't they?
Belgium's number 1. And yet they have not beaten France, I think, in competitive play in about 10 years or something.
And they haven't won a major trophy yet.
They haven't won a major trophy. I don't think they've made it to a final in major trophy since, I want to say, 2008. Something like that. Yeah, and yet they're ranked number 1. This is about as good as the UFC's ranking system, I think. Like who cares? Like I can't get. I don't understand how they're ranked number 1.
Just a shame that they can't have title matches every other.
Oh, it's yeah. Yeah. I think the big turning point for this game was the Mbappe penalty. So silly challenge from Belgium, just a deliberate, like just a sort of out of character Tielemans touch. It went up whether it was a penalty or not. For me, if it's a free kick out in the field of play, probably should be a penalty then. Which is basically what it came down to. It would have been a free kick in the field of play, so I think they made the right call calling a penalty. The Belgian players weren't happy. Tielemans was obviously pretty upset. He's a young guy and felt it should have been a little bit better done by with that, but it happens. Belgium started off 2-0 up at half time. France come out and look like world champions again. Slotted 2 past them, including the penalty. So it's 2-2. Lukaku gets a goal in the 89th minute, and it gets disallowed by VAR. After the disallowment from VAR, France go the other direction and score the winning goal through Theo Hernandez. You can't write the stuff. You cannot write it.
Poetic justice for world number 2.
Oh, yeah. You cannot write it. And for Theo Hernandez, absolute awesome. He's AC Milan left back.
Yeah.
Is he only a young guy too?
Yeah, real young. Yeah. Broke into the French team, I think, during the World Cup while he was really, really young. But, you can't write. Like, if you want to watch a game and if you want a reason to watch international football, this would be the game. And you'll just get everything about it, and you'll get why these players just play so passionately for their teams and for their nations, even though Nations League means nothing. They play super hard for it, and credit to France, credit to Belgium. They both played awesome. France just came out on top. Just absolutely amazing game. Everything that we thought it'd be and more. So that's our final. France versus Spain. It will be the champions, so our current champions, and France just look unbeatable at the moment. I can't remember the last time that they lost in a major tournament. So France versus Spain, and then Spain just the young boys on the block, which it feels like a couple of years ago it was the reverse. You had Spain, the champions, up against the young boys, the French.
French, yeah.
It was the passing of the guard. So
it's interesting they're playing this at the San Siro.
Yeah.
You know, like AC Milan and Inter Milan's in Italy. Like it's
I think it gets announced as a neutral venue at the start. So sort of like like in the Champions League, they'll announce. I think did they have it at Wembley? Was it last year? It must have been the year before.
Year before, wasn't it? Because there was.
Must have been the year before. They had Wembley and so they announced it like beforehand, and then so it's the same thing. So they announced the San Siro, classic stadium. I mean, I wouldn't have picked a better stadium. Like that would the history that's in that stadium is just amazing, and a great neutral venue to see Spain versus France. Should be awesome. Obviously, Italians spewing because they would have got to play at home, but
they should have played better then.
Yeah, that's right. They shouldn't let the youngsters beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. So that's our Nations League wrap up.
Excellent.
So I think there's only one.
It's a shame we don't have the newest Newcastle United fan here on the.
So for everyone listening, call out that fat bitch Snakeo.
The biggest Newcastle United fan we've ever met.
Apparently they're his second team, everyone. Second team.
And have been for a long time, apparently. That's what
these guys back.
He wouldn't know. Should we ask him who Alan Shearer is? You know what he'll say? Oh, he's a Liverpool junior, man.
He's followed Newcastle United since Goal came out. What are you talking about? Oh dear.
So I think this Newcastle news is the final bit of news that we've got for this week, and so it's been announced that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund have taken over controlling assets of Newcastle United. They get an 80% stake in Newcastle worth over £300 million.
So with I did hear an adjustment that was, I think, announced by the actual Newcastle page. So I think it's reliable. I don't know how correct it is, but it sounds pretty reliable. By the sounds of things, it looks like it will be a full control. So it will be 100% control. It doesn't matter. Whether they've got 100% or 51%, they've still got a controlling stake and get to talk about whether it's real or not. So at the end of the day, they're in control. I thought I saw it on the Newcastle United, their actual. I think it might have been the articles page from the actual football club, but awesome stuff for Newcastle United.
Especially after they were so titillated in the last one.
Yeah.
Like how that all happened, and then they pulled out.
I didn't want to speak about it because I'd heard rumours about it. So we're filming this on Friday. I'd heard rumours about it Thursday and even Wednesday. I did not want to entertain it after last time. Last time we talked about it and didn't end up going through. So, but yeah.
I think
definitely shake up the Premier League.
The last time we talked about it, though, too, I think the asking price was upwards of £450 million as well. So it's quite a significant drop off. But Mike Ashley's still going to take a shit ton of money, shit ton of profit out of that investment that he's had. And Newcastle United fans can actually be looking forward to buying some players now too.
Yeah,
like investors that actually want to invest in the club.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are going to get a rude wake up call though for the Newcastle United fans, because I've seen a lot of them messaging saying, "Oh, we don't want to become the next Chelsea or the next Man City." Tough luck.
They
Tough
will.
luck.
When
Tough
there's
luck.
that much money involved, it's always going to happen.
Tough luck. You're going to trump City and Chelsea easy now. Like, the figures, like, user on track to be the next PSG. It's
100%.
yeah. That's the whole thing about this. They got to be real careful now. And I think Newcastle United fans are going to have a rude wake up call when they realise that they're going to go out and buy a lot of players.
That's it. Especially like Newcastle fans are fairly, like, probably some of the most passionate players, and St James's Park has got some so much notoriety around that stadium too. Like, it's insane. But I don't know if you
Harry Kane deal going to St James's Park.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. They might be the only ones paying him 200 million.
Yeah, that's it.
Did you guys see how much this public investment fund's worth?
What was it, Roscoe?
$320 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
320 billion pounds.
It's something like the top 10 richest clubs in the world don't have a combined amount more than that. So if you combine the rest of the top 10 richest clubs, because Newcastle obviously becomes the richest now, if you combined the other 9, Newcastle United will still be higher.
That's crazy.
Insane.
When you think about it, it's like 2.25 Jeff Bezos's.
Oh, unbelievable.
That's
and I think
crazy.
PSG's second on like 200 million or something. Yeah. And then there's like a massive drop. I think City might be 3rd or 4th. But it's it goes down to like 40 billion or something after that. Like, it's just the drop off. Like, it's Newcastle and PSG, and then like the drop off is
City and So just a shout out to the PIF fund. If they want to swing a couple of bill this way for chump change, we'll happily promote.
Definitely. I think we'll all be in agreement. We'll all become Newcastle fans.
Yeah.
They want to buy a jersey.
Yeah.
Take us
who's buying Cooksy?
Take us in on the ground floor.
What player would I get?
Yeah.
I might go a classic and go the Dufty.
Ooh.
Nice.
Don't know.
Duffy or Duffy?
It was Duffy?
I think it's Duffy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of Matt Duffy. Yeah, Duffy. He played for Chelsea as well.
Yeah. Roscoe, what are you thinking?
Oh, got to go to classic.
Actually, no. I want to change.
I knew Roscoe was going to say Shearer.
Can I change?
Coxie. I know what Coxie's going to say. Ready? He's going to say Andy Carroll.
No. I want Ben Arthur.
Ben Arthur, yes, that's a good shout. That is a good shout.
Mad Dog himself. I want that.
Ben Arthur, that is a nice jersey too. That number 10.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for the modern day Maximan.
Saint Maxima.
Yeah,
nice.
I want his jersey anyway because I think he's just an absolute superstar.
He's a beast. Yeah. And for those listening, we're going to ask Staker all these names next week and see if he knows them.
We'll say past or present player Snako, and we'll list them off, and then we'll chuck in a couple that are fakes.
And then when we get to Andy Carroll, we go, oh, he was a Liverpool junior, man. Very good. Well, that wraps up episode number 50, guys.
A long one.
Yeah.
Up to 50
wow.
Good stuff. Half century.
That's it.
We're going to have to do something real special when we get to the 100 mark.
I thought you better say when we get to 51. Like Snake suggested. Very good. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.
Catch you.
Thanks, guys. See you.